How's it going, guys? We are back for another 1 hour live session going in the Good Health Sauna's Corner Hybrid again, and we've got some questions to go over that were sent to us this week, so we're excited about those. But per usual, we're going to be letting the unit heat up to about my body temperature, anywhere from like 100 to 110 degrees. That's when I'm going to want to jump in. And one of the questions that was sent to us was, why do I want to use an infrared sauna in those summer months, in those warmer months? And using an infrared sauna year round is going to be super beneficial. Obviously, use it in those colder winter months, helps with like just circulation, just general aches and pains. And using it year round, especially in those summer months, is going to be super beneficial for especially me and my sleep. I can feel it, especially getting a much deeper sleep. I'm not tossing and turning. And so using that year round, especially in those times of year when it is staying lighter, a little bit later in the evening, that is just something where I can still fall asleep at the same time, get 7-8 hours. So I noticed that using it year round, especially beneficial for my sleep. Obviously, you get a ton of those benefits with like aches, pains, muscle relaxation, and then still cellular repair. Sweating is another big benefit for skin health, so skin purification. In those summer months when you're outside, you're getting exposed to just a lot more heavy metals, toxins, carcinogens, pollutions, just general pesticides in like grass, everything that you can be exposed to. Having that ability to sweat off, repair damaged DNA, repair damaged cells, using an infrared sauna to raise that core temperature, where obviously in those summer months, you're not going to be as likely to get sick, so your body's not going to be replicating a fever-like response. When you can use an infrared sauna, still get those same benefits as far as improving, like I said, your circulatory system, the cardiovascular system, getting that passive cardiovascular workout, especially any older clientele or anyone who's older and just kind of struggles, or you still want to go out there and go on that hike, go on that bike ride, using it as kind of a tool to muscle relax and use it for your deep muscle recovery. That's going to be able to allow you to go on that next hike, go on that next walk. So using it year round is super beneficial. Like I said, we're going to jump in around 100, 110 degrees, still get about 45, hopefully an hour-long session in. And obviously, we got to stay super hydrated. So that's something we've been doing. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat down below. Big Oak, thanks for joining. But obviously, staying super hydrated is one of the key things that we like to talk about. Drinking water before, during, after. I'm going in the infrared sauna that's going to be set up to 165, so this is part of our hybrid series. Having a sauna that gets super hot nice and quick is going to be really beneficial for anyone who's got a crazy busy life, and everyone who likes to run around and have just family, friends time. Having something in the comfort of your own home. You'll see here it's going to heat up about 15, maybe 20 minutes. It's going to start out about 70 degrees, so just normal room temperature. I'll get in about 15, 20 minutes later, heat up with it, and within about 20, 30 minutes, I'm going to be sweating buckets. So super nice to have a unit that the 360-degree heaters evenly distribute the heat. Solid lumber construction allows for, like I said, nice quick heat up time, but then the ability to get up to those higher temperatures too. So we're going to grab some towels, put those on the bench, put those on the floor. That's just going to make maintenance super easy as far as just taking the towels out when I'm done. We use this unit pretty consistently, and so if we want to wipe it down, just 3 parts water, 1 part apple cider vinegar, and you just wipe down anywhere on the interior. And so towels are going to do most of the heavy lifting. We're going to grab some of those shortly here. We're going to kick the unit on, and then, like I said, let it heat up to about 100, 110 degrees. It looks like it's a little bit warm in here already. So, oh, it is. It's about 82 degrees. So that's where, if you're using it in like a family setting where someone's used it before you, you might not have to wait that entire 10, 15 minutes. And so this one, like I said, may take only 5-10 minutes to heat up to around that 100, 110. The longer I wait to let it heat up, if I get in around 120 degrees, probably going to be able to do a little bit shorter session, just because it's going to be getting up to those higher temperatures a little bit quicker. Now, what you're not going to see me do is just jump in at 165, or if I had it set to like 150, get in at that max temp or that set temperature, because then those heating elements are going to cycle on and off. I want to be getting in close to that core body temperature to allow those heaters to constantly run. That way I'm absorbing the max amount of infrared and in there the entire time those heaters are running. And so we're gonna let it get up, like I said, around 100, 110, towels on the bench and on the floor here. I'm really looking forward to just getting, again, that deep muscle relaxation, muscle recovery we were talking about earlier, how using it year round is super beneficial. And in those summer months, especially up here in Wisconsin, you're gonna be a lot more active. Like myself, I'm golfing a lot more, just outside. And so doing something, and when you're moving your body in different ways, especially if you're kind of working, if you're up here in Wisconsin, let's say you're snow plowing in the winter where you're sitting in the car, that's gonna be different type of aches and pains than if you're in the summer out in the construction site, moving your body, contorting in different ways. You're an electrician, again, going to different job sites. And so using an infrared sauna has tons of different benefits as far as just the muscle relaxation recovery, helps regulate your circadian rhythms, those sleep cycles, again, the cardiovascular benefits. And so depends what you're looking to get out of the infrared sauna, but there's almost benefits for everyone out there. And so that's something that we just like to showcase here, and what a full infrared sauna session can look like, a nice, obviously enclosed environment, and showing you guys how quick it can heat up, how hot it can get, and then obviously how great it can make you feel when you're using it consistently. And so we've only been letting it heat up for a couple minutes. It's already up to like 95 degrees, so I'm gonna throw some towels on the bench here and grab some water and make sure we are staying super, super hydrated. So Turner, thanks for joining. If you guys have any questions, if you're thinking about getting an infrared sauna, drop any of those down in the chat. If you have one already, let us know how much you love it. But towels on the bench and on the floor here. And that's something we get asked a lot too. What's the maintenance? And a good infrared sauna has minimal to no maintenance, and then it's gonna be backed by a good warranty too. And so that's why Good Health Saunas gives you a lifetime warranty, everything that keeps it operational. And so you're not gonna find that from a lot of those lower quality units. And just for your purposes or for your residential use, what is the average heat up time for a Good Health sauna? That's a good question. So average heat up time is gonna be about 15, 20 minutes. You're not gonna see that in a lot of those lower quality units. It takes maybe about 45 minutes, hour long, just to get it up to those sweating temps. And then depending on the environment, if it's in a cooler basement, it may not even be able to get up to those higher temperatures. So that's why you want a unit that has enough heating elements. Thanks for joining, Michael. Thanks for joining Commercial Real Estate. Welcome if you guys are thinking about getting a sauna. If you guys have used one, let us know. I'm doing an hour-long session in a corner hybrid series from Good Health Saunas. It's about time to jump in here. So obviously super quick heat up time if it's been running before. And something that I like to do is obviously get in around that core body temp, but then stay in for as long as I can. And that's something that a lot of people don't have to do. You can still stay in for 15, 20 minutes, and especially in those summer months, if you've been outside or if you've already been kind of warm throughout the day, going in for a shorter session in an infrared sauna, try and go in for still 20, 30 minutes, but you're gonna get a lot of the benefits absorbing that infrared. And we still talked about just the benefits of sweating and the skin purification, but for me, I get it for the cardiovascular benefits. So went to the gym this morning, didn't do cardio, but now I know I can get my cardiovascular benefits in the sauna. And so staying super, super hydrated, as I'm planning to stay in for about 45 minutes, is gonna be super, super key. And today I put some electrolytes in the water just to change it up a little bit. So getting up to those higher temperatures in an infrared sauna is still gonna have that same feeling as a traditional sauna. Steve, I couldn't get mine to start heating up when you come on. I hooked it all up. I don't know what the problem is. Steve, we'll send you a private message, and we're more than happy to help you figure it out. If you got a Good Health Saunas, let me know where you're at. We'll send you a message after the chat here. And so using an infrared sauna at those higher temperatures is still gonna feel like a traditional sauna. You'll still see I mean, my heart rate's gonna get elevated. Having that dry air temperature though, I noticed just in those summer months where your hair may already get kind of drier, having just that hot air temperature outside, it's gonna really amplify those effects in like a traditional sauna. I don't get that same feeling in an infrared sauna. My skin feels a lot softer. It's not as dry and cracky, especially if you've been outside and you kind of get sunburnt. I noticed it helps with just kind of repair a lot of that skin as far as like the surface level, and especially down to, like I said, that deeper muscle, deeper soft tissue as well. So units getting up there in temperature. I can tell I'm gonna be sweating a lot today just because it's been running already. So you're still gonna be getting a little bit more of that air temperature, but having the benefits of the infrared is gonna be a lot different than just sitting in that hot air temperature in that hot steam room in like a commercial setting or like a gym. And again, don't get me wrong, any which way you cut it, sweating's beneficial, but using an infrared sauna, Turner, support has been good on his end so far, so we'll get you taken care of, Steve, just like all of our other happy customers. So again, using the infrared sauna consistently helps out, but getting to those higher temperatures isn't as necessarily important. And so using it in those warmer months, using it in those cold winter months is gonna be just like if you try and rent a car. If you only run it 6 months a year, and then if you try and get it back out, it's gonna be a lot harder to start back going. So same thing with your body. If you kind of block those detox pathways and you kind of jump start it or try and jump start it again in the winter, it's gonna be a lot harder in those cold winter months. And so using it consistently just helps regulate your body as far as just your cardiovascular health, circulatory, gonna be a lot less prone to injuries too. So like I said, being a lot more active in those summer months, having something in as far as like a tool in your tool belt to use as recovery is definitely a game changer. And having something in the comfort of your own home that you know is built to last, that's something you're not gonna find from just like a lot of those big box stores. And a lot of them out there are, like I said, built for a certain price point. When you're looking at the actual functionality and then the heater design, and really what separates us is just the customer service and customer relations aspect. So Steve, matter of fact, online I had a couple plugs didn't plug in. I don't know if it's a couple panels or what. I got a single sauna. Okay, Steve, like I said, we'll get you taken care of. We'll send you a private message after this. And like I said, we'll get that taken care of. As far as a single sauna, I mean, we have a few different options. As far as like an actual single, I'd make sure it's a Good Health sauna. But thanks for joining, Captain. Thanks for joining, Jay, and thanks for joining, VU. We're doing a 1 hour Good Health sauna session in the Corner Hybrid series. Unit's already up to 110 degrees, so we're gonna have to be jumping in shortly here. I was just talking about kind of having that ability to go up to those higher temperatures, but still getting in at a lower temp. I'm not having to wait to get it up to the 180 degree ambient air temperature to finally get in and then still sit in for 20 minutes. I've only let it heat up for a handful of minutes here. I'm still gonna be able to get in and absolutely start dripping buckets in 15, 20 minutes. So that's the nice part about having something with no venting, no plumbing, no water lines, solid lumber construction. So those are things you wanna look at just no matter who you get an infrared sauna from. And then as far as just looking for, like I said, that next tool or that next investment in your health, it's definitely a game changer when you're looking at it. And like I said, if you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer them. You can always just schedule a consultation with me down below. We're doing something cool, so if you schedule a consultation and we have a chance to connect, I'll send you in a Walla water bottle. So that infamous Good Health Sauna is the Walla water bottle that I'm always drinking out of. If you guys schedule a consultation with me, like I said, we have a chance to connect, I will send you guys one for free. But cool water bottle, great sauna water bottle if you're into it, or just workout everyday water bottle as well. So super cool. If you guys want to connect, click or scan that QR code down below, and been more than happy to schedule a one-on-one. Thanks for joining, Marcy. Thanks for joining, Real, McLovin, Sheila Price. Thanks for joining. If you guys have any questions, drop them down in the chat. We got to jump in here. It's already getting a little past 110 degrees, so time to start our Good Health sauna. So we're gonna jump in there. We will meet you guys in. All right, guys, we are starting the session here. 3, 2, 1, and get the heart rate starting out here. And that's something that I like to track, because getting up into those 120s, 130s, that's when you know you're really getting that passive cardiovascular workout. So if you're not necessarily looking for that, you don't have to set it up to those higher temperatures. I'm going to probably strap it back on my wrist here. I think we're getting a good count. But, Patrick, thanks for joining. Welcome. So heart rate is already a little elevated. Like I said, talking, running around, it's already in the hundreds, but we'll slowly get it up to the 120s, 130s. It's not like if I was in like a traditional sauna, where if that, like I said, ambient air temperature is already 180 degrees, if I were to jump in and that ambient air temperature kind of took my breath away, I'm going to really struggle to just passively get that cardiovascular workout. It, like I said, kind of dries out my eyes, makes it difficult to breathe. You can only do a shorter session, so it kind of limits a lot of the benefits. When I like to go in for, like I said, longer sessions and really amplify kind of the benefits with the muscle relaxation, muscle recovery, then having the ability to sit in a little bit lower temperature but still go to those higher temperatures, compared to having something that's going to take my breath away. I can only stay in it for 5-10 minutes, dries out my eyes, agitates my nose. Tons more benefits with the infrared. So those are all really good questions. If you guys, like I said, are thinking about getting an infrared sauna, or if you've used one before, drop any questions down below. If you know any benefits that you experience using an infrared sauna year round, drop those in the chat down below. We've had tons of customers that always kind of wonder, oh, I'll get one in the winter, and that's kind of when everyone thinks of getting an infrared sauna. So using kind of this opportunity, especially if you have the space available, I wouldn't necessarily say that I want to use an infrared sauna every day in the summer, but having the ability to still use one and having it readily available in those cold winter months is when a lot of people see the benefits of just the full spectrum, like I said, deep therapeutic infrared heat. So for me, the corner unit's really nice, being about 6 foot. You'll see already I'm just stretching out, so it's only about 115 degrees in here now. Obviously we opened the door a little bit, so it's gonna make sure, or it's gonna get up to those higher temperatures. I was just making sure it was set up to the max temp. That's one thing that, if you guys have one, or if you have any questions, we're more than happy to kind of walk through those. So big thing that really separates us, like I said, is that customer service. Priding ourselves on making sure we build rock solid saunas, but then having somebody there when you guys have questions, and that's why we like to do these lives too. We know that no matter where you're at in your sauna journey, where if you have one, if you're just curious if this is something that you would even get benefits from, if you're thinking, what would this even look like in my own home? How do I even use it? How do I plug it in? That's all something that we specialize in. We deal with these units hands-on every day. All 7 of the main manufacturers, all like I said, of the infrared saunas in the industry. Chances are we've used it, we've dealt with it, we really know the ins and the outs, and so we kind of, like I said, don't want to have you guys sweating the details, and that's why we kind of specialize, and we pride ourselves in making sure the saunas are the safest, the most efficient, the most effective infrared saunas out there. And so that's kind of, like I said, why we do these lives. Jay, thanks for joining, and want to just obviously show you what a infrared sauna, a medical grade infrared sauna session can look like. And so having, like I said, the corner unit is one of my favorites, but no matter where I'm sitting, I'm getting that infrared heat. It's got the front heaters that you guys really haven't got a chance to see, but also the calf and the floor heaters. The big wraparound heaters are super nice for obviously neck, traps, shoulders. That's something where you're not going to see that in a lot of those lower quality units. Whether it's just cutting corners with heater configuration, heater design, if it's actually the like materials used, where it's particle board, plywood, press board. I don't want you guys to have to get something or have a bad experience with an infrared sauna and then not be able to get the benefits, because that's just something that we hear, and we have so many people tell us that it's one of the smartest investments they made. They use it almost every single day. They wish they did it a lot sooner. I mean, we had a customer that ended up having 21 knee surgeries. He found that the infrared sauna was the only thing to alleviate his pain. I remember I had a customer that ended up being able to alleviate or kind of taper off their blood pressure medication. So using it as far as just something to reduce the back pain. I had a customer that he had worked for General Motors out in Michigan for years, and nothing had relieved his back pain like the infrared sauna. He says he especially used it in those cold winter months, but we were just out there, and that was in April. It was getting warm out, or at the end of March. It was getting super, super warm out. They did the show way later than they normally do. And he came up and he said, I use it still 3 to 5 times a week. Three times religiously, just because of how good it makes him feel from a sleep standpoint, from his back just not being as sore, not being as stiff. And so having something, once you start using it, you realize it's an addicting feeling in a good way. That's when we have customers tell us it's, like I said, smartest investments. They use it every single day, if not 3-5 times a week, and they wish they did it a lot sooner. So having the ability to showcase that here for you guys is something that I really get excited about, and having you guys answer or ask any questions is something that we are always here for. So love that you guys come along for the journey. But sometimes it's a little quieter out there in the chat. So we are working on heating up here with the unit. It's about 126. See, my heart rate did drop a little bit to like still 100 beats per minute. So we're still getting that slower elevated heart rate. And it's one of those, I'm not having to take a shortened breath. I can actually still take a deep breath. So that's where we have so many customers who have heart conditions, or they have health conditions that they may be worried about using, like a traditional sauna, a steam room, or they've been told like don't use a hot tub by their doctor, where they can actually use and get a ton of the benefits with the infrared heat being a lot less abrasive on the body. So like I said, having something in the comfort of your own home. For me, I use it a lot for that muscle recovery. I like to golf, especially in these summer months. Being up here in Wisconsin, we don't necessarily get to golf all year round. So I'm using muscles that I'm not using in those cold winter months. Having the infrared sauna is just one of the only things. I'll go there, I'll try and roll it out on one of the roller pins, get the muscle, or get a massage, use one of those massage guns on it. It doesn't do the same as that infrared. Having something get into that soft tissue muscle isn't replicable from that external surface. So having that ambient air temperature get so hot, like I said, having the massage gun isn't going to give you the same benefits as that full spectrum heat. And so using an high quality full spectrum infrared sauna, which with the proper emissivity, and so the appropriate effectiveness of the infrared heat, that's when you can really notice a night and day difference. And like I said, it's almost an addicting feeling in a good way, but there's nothing that can really replicate it. And so those are all really just kind of key points that having an infrared sauna readily available for the past 5 years, I've noticed. I used to play a ton of sports growing up, so having just being exposed to different recovery methods as far as like stretching. Obviously you've heard of like icing, and so it was really infamous if you sprained an ankle to put it in an ice bath. And so there's always been a ton of benefits to kind of the cold therapy. Sauna wasn't as popular or didn't have as much kind of benefit to it in sports in my experience, but now having it readily capable or readily available is something that I wish I had, and definitely will say is going to be a lot more popular going forward in just everyday athletics. So T-Boy 1213, what up, dude? What's up? We're sitting in the infrared sauna here. It's only about 1:30, but we're going for the 1 hour live session, which we do every Tuesday, like I said, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat down below. We were going over kind of why sauning year-round is super beneficial and how it differs from just traditional saunas. And like I said, using a high-quality infrared sauna, it's just like if you've ever used or if you've ever had experience kind of using just a lower quality car, or if you went to a lower quality restaurant and then you go to a higher quality one, you realize there's differences in the detail. And that may not just be the actual exterior look. One may look a lot nicer on the aesthetics, but when you actually are using it consistently for something that is designed to give you that deep therapy, that deep muscle recovery, and all those medical benefits, all those little details are going to add up in the long run. So 360-degree heaters, solid lumber construction, obviously a reputable company with a good warranty. And those are those are all things that really should be the most important. Not if it's the fanciest looking or if it's the most well designed outside or has the most bells and whistles as far as apps and kind of just extra features. But how's the function? How's the form? How's the heater coverage? And how's the support after the fact and during? Those are the biggest concerns. And so no matter who you get one from, look at all those things. It's especially when you're investing in your health, it shouldn't be something that's just a quick thought. You want to have the ability to, especially like I said, talk to somebody who's been hands-on with all of these units every day for the past 20 plus years, like some of our reps have, where they have ton more experience than I have in just using infrared saunas. They've seen the industry shift and the industry change and transform over the years, and just like everything, infrared saunas have made leaps and bounds as far as just the recovery and as far as working with the firefighters and the detox protocols, the Olympic athletes, professional athletes using it for, like I said, they're just muscle relaxation, muscle recovery. They're always on the cutting edge, and like I said, you're going to see it a lot more, or become a lot more popular as far as just everyday usage. And when people realize it's a lot, or how practical it is to have in their own home, that's when you're going to see a lot, or it explode really. So anyone who has one, you're well ahead of the game. If you already enjoy sweating, that's going to be much more beneficial than not. But using an infrared sauna and using a high quality one, there's really nothing that can compete with it. So I put some mixed berry electrolytes in the water today, just for something to change it up. But I always, or sometimes do get asked, do you use any electrolytes or anything like that? Using or going into the evening sessions, one thing I will say is I tend to not use like electrolytes, or if you're using like a liquid IV or something that has sugar, just because going to sleep, if I'm trying to process that sugar throughout the night, I may not be able to fall into as deep of that REM sleep or as deep of that core sleep. So for me, having an electrolyte sugar-free during the evening sessions, personal preference obviously, but I use it and I work out enough where I could use the sugar, but I use that in the morning, especially in the morning when trying to get a jump start throughout the day. But in the evenings, just trying to not use the sugar. So something a little different in that. Amy, thanks for joining. Welcome. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat down below. Like I said, if you've used an infrared sauna, if you're thinking about getting one, if you're curious, we're more than happy to walk through all of our options. We have tons of great videos on all of our pages as well, where no matter where you're at in your journey, I think it'll be beneficial to just kind of watch a couple of those. We have, like I said, longer content, shorter content, so more than happy to walk you through kind of the really kind of deep dive in the industry if you guys want. And that's where all of our representatives that have been doing it for a long time are phenomenal as well. So we're in for the long run. It's only been about 15 minutes. Unit's about 134 in here. You can kind of start to see we're getting the glistening. So just a light sweat is starting, but that's something where if I wanted to kind of get that really, really deep sweat, I'll wait a few extra minutes, let it heat up, and then I can kind of jump in and really get up to those max temperatures. Personal preference with that, doing the hour 45 long session, I like getting in at a little bit lower temperatures, and that's where you'll notice body temperature is key, around 100, 110 degrees. And that's something that we always preach, no matter what type of sauna it is or what type of infrared sauna it is. If they're telling you you can get it up to 180 degrees, and that's really not the intent of an infrared sauna. It's more or less how quick can you raise your internal and your core temp. And so raising that core temperature is going to be a lot more beneficial than just raising that ambient air temperature. So that's where don't get necessarily tricked by just the control panel or what temperature is on the advertisement, how many heaters does it have, how well are those heaters placed throughout the unit, and then how effective are those heaters at actually producing infrared that's going to raise your core temp. And everyone's like, oh, traditional sauna is going to be a lot quicker, a lot more beneficial. Well, when I have something that's traditional heat and it's this small and it's got to heat all of this ambient air temperature, I'm going to be pretty uncomfortable next to something that's going to get that hot. And then to heat all of that air temperature up, it's going to heat from bottom to the top. In a family setting, that's always a big concern, having something that small, that hot. But then even in your own, or just for a practical purpose, you're not going to be able to enjoy that ambient air temperature. In a commercial setting, when it's 10 by 12, 12 by 15, two-tier benches, that air temperature is still a lot more controlled because of how large the space is. Where if you're in something that is this size, having to get that air temperature that hot that quick is going to make it so stuffy, so stale, so stagnant. It's not really going to be an enjoyable experience. And so using something that is designed for that deep therapy, that deep muscle relaxation recovery, those are all things where, like I said, you're going to notice a night and day difference. So, like I said, hydration is key, but before, during, and after, I probably should have drank some more water today. Jay Walker, Julie, thanks for joining. Crystal, thanks for joining. Welcome. We're about 17 minutes into the 1 hour infrared sauna session. We're just starting to get that good sweat going. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat down below. If you're thinking about getting an infrared sauna, if you have one already, we'd love to hear from you. Let me know where you're tuning in from as well. It's only about 140 degrees in here right now, but you can see I'm starting to sweat, and so that's going to mean my core temperature is going to be getting elevated slightly. Raising it up to 3.5 degrees is going to really elicit that fever-like response. So compared to just raising that superficial skin temp, where I'm not going to come out of here and I'm not going to be just beet red, and it's really going to be more of that deeper cellular repair. Kathy, could you explain how to use and when to use the ionizer ozonator? It's a good question, Kathy. So all Good Health saunas come with an air purification unit. We always recommend using it once, maybe twice a month. You don't really have to use it all that often. It's kind of an extra measure that we take, especially in kind of just residential settings. If it's a single family or kind of not as heavy usage as like a commercial setting, 10, 12 hours a day, multiple people in and out. Once, twice a month is plenty. You're just going to want to get in, or when you're done with your session, you're going to want to click it to the red, get out, close the door. It'll do its thing. It'll switch over for about 45 minutes, and then it'll turn itself off. So you only have to do that about once, maybe twice a month. It's an extra measure as far as running the air through an electronic filter. Ionizes it, just kills off any of the bacteria, helps with a little odorization, a little sanitation. Same premises like hospitals, surgery rooms. So really just more of an extra measure. The infrared does do a lot of kind of the sanitation, just being a natural disinfectant. Towels will just do a lot of the heavy lifting with the sweat. But if you want to wipe down the lumber or anything, that's just 3 parts water, 1 part apple cider vinegar, and just a microfiber cloth, and you can wipe down anywhere on the inside here. So air purifier once or twice a month. Wipe it down maybe once or twice a year. Towels every time. So towels on the bench and on the floor every session. I saw something where somebody was asking, oh, do you guys actually put towels on the bench and the floor? You're going to notice it if you don't compared to if you do every session, guys. So no matter what type of sauna it is, if you just want to make sure those benches stay in good shape, it'll help you in the long run, just putting some nice thick towels. Also makes it a lot more comfortable. That's something where I always say get some nice thick plush towels. Just super, super comfortable, and then you're not gonna have to worry about like staining. Don't try and get some like super colorful. Can you run it while you're in the sauna? You can run the ionizer here, the green. You can be in it when it's green. You don't really want to be in it when it's red. You just have good ions in your body, and that you don't necessarily want to be pulled out. It's not going to hurt you, but you can be in when it's green. We don't really recommend being in it when it's red, but you're not, like I said, going to hurt anything. So those are all kind of extra measures. Towels, maintenance aspect is minimal to none. Kay Whiteman, thanks for joining. North Form Creative, thanks for joining. Eric, thanks for joining. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat down below. We've been in for about 20 minutes now. Units up to about 140. And so staying in for another, obviously, 20-ish, 25, 30 minutes. But we were talking about using the sauna in those summer months, having something that is really designed as more of a therapy, whereas that traditional sauna may just feel good, where when you're in those cold winter months and it's super, super cold outside, sure, having a steam room that has some hot moisture may feel good on your sinuses, but when you're using a sauna consistently, you really don't have to worry about your skin being as dry. You don't have to worry about your respiratory system. You don't have to worry about your cardiovascular system as much. And so I've noticed not getting sick as frequently. I probably used to get super sick like once, maybe twice a year. Ever since I started working here and just using the sauna consistently, I really rarely get sick. Maybe once, if that, a year. And if it is, it's much, much more mild than being kind of a knocked off my socks sick. And so those are all things where using it consistently, like I said, your body's just going to be a lot more or a lot less susceptible to injury in those summer months, where having the ability for me to go and play golf, hit another range or hit another bucket of balls on the range, those are all things that kind of add up to just being and experiencing a high quality sauna, where if it was something that I didn't enjoy using, if I didn't have front heaters on my knees, or if I didn't have floor heat, if it just took forever to heat up, I wouldn't enjoy using it. And so this is something where I actually look forward to going to the lives. I look forward to chatting with you guys. It's something that I know I'm getting a ton of the benefits using the infrared. Obviously, I use one consistently pretty often, but I enjoy doing the lives, and it's not something that, even in those summer months where it's finally starting to get warm up here in Wisconsin, I'm not dreading using the sauna, because I'm still getting a ton of benefits as far as that muscle recovery. Like I said, I sleep a lot better at night. And so does the sauna help with arthritis and inflammation? Kathy, yes, the sauna is phenomenal for arthritis, phenomenal for inflammation. So what happens is that infrared heat, it actually gets about 1.5 inches into that soft tissue muscle. So compared to just like a hot rock furnace style where it heats that air temperature, that infrared getting into that soft tissue muscle can vasodilate blood vessels. Vasodilation of the blood vessels allows more oxygenated blood to get to parts of the body that's not typically getting that adequate amount of blood flow. More blood flow, more muscle relaxation, muscle recovery. So any of those aches, pains with inflammation, arthritis, it gets pushed throughout your body and pushed out of your body, because it's expanding your circulatory system. So it's expanding all the highways on your body. Same thing with those detox pathways. It's really opening up, because it's going to expand all the pores on your body, and so allowing just those heavy metals, toxins, carcinogens, which are really just built up throughout the entire body, are going to have a ton of benefits with the infrared. And so those are probably some of the most beneficial cases that we hear about, is just customers with arthritis, inflammation, and especially in those lower extremities like knees, ankles, shoulders, or knees, ankles, hips. You're going to get a ton of the benefits. And same thing with the heaters that go nice and above neck and shoulders. If you have any shoulder stiffness, neck pain, you're going to get a ton of those benefits. So we are starting to get a good sweat going, guys. Kathy, thanks for the great questions. Have you used an infrared sauna before, Kathy, or you kind of just thinking about getting one? But there are tons of benefits no matter really what age range you are. I mean, nobody really shouldn't use an infrared sauna, and kind of like I said, even with people with like heart conditions, high or low blood pressure, it helps regulate your body, so it's not going to shock it. It's a much more controlled environment, because if you don't want to set it up to those higher temperatures, you can still only set it to 110, 120, get a ton of those benefits, a ton of that cellular repair, because getting more oxygenated blood is obviously helping just the ATP production. You're going to feel more energetic. Your cells are helping just obviously replace and get rid of the kind of the dead cells throughout your body. So tons and tons of benefits for that deep muscle. And so yes, I bought a 3-person hybrid at the Novi Michigan home show. That's awesome, Kathy. Love to hear that. I'm sitting in the corner hybrid here. So did you get it? I think I was out there in Novi, depending when you got it. How long have you had it for? But that's great. Do you notice that it gives you a lot of benefits, or? But great. That's good to hear, Kathy. Oh, we are sweating. Kathy has a 3-person out in Michigan. She probably absolutely loves it. How long have you had it, Kathy? I'm always curious. Michigan's one of my favorite areas that we go to, guys. So just being out here in Wisconsin, that's right over the lake. Tons of great people, but obviously they have the cold winter months too. And actually, the customer that I was talking about earlier, he was, I said, from Michigan. So he was working at, I think it was Ford or GM. He'll be mad at me for forgetting, but he was working and found that the sauna was one of the best retirement presents that he got himself. He says he got the massage chair, he got the red light panel, he got the massage gun as well, but the only thing that he found and uses still to this day consistently is the infrared sauna. So Kathy says, April this year, I do feel better after using it. Wish I would have asked Lori more questions on how to use it. Kathy, well, that's why we like to do these, and there's also tons of great videos on our website. So kind of walkthrough videos, how to use an infrared sauna like we're showing here. Caitlin, thanks for joining, but what kind of questions did you have? I'm more than happy to answer those. And like I said, I like showing kind of what a typical infrared sauna session should look like. So getting in around core body temperature, and heating up with the unit. But as you guys can see, I'm really starting to sweat now. So it's starting to come off my shoulders, my elbows, my chin here. We are starting to get that good sweat. Kathy, that's really good. You're using it and you got it this year. Betcha in those cold winter months, and still using it in those summer months, you're getting a ton of benefits. But sorry guys, I'm stretching here. We gotta stretch. But those are all really, like I said, just key points to look at using it consistently. And like I said, Kathy, we want to be a part of the journey. If you have questions before, during, after, Lori, I'm sure, is happy to answer all of your questions. You can give her a call. And I know it's full spectrum, Kathy says. Could you explain the placement and the function of the 3 different lights? And so being full spectrum, Kathy, you're getting near, mid, and far wavelengths. So far wavelengths, that's going to be coming from these carbon heaters wrapping around your body. So far infrared is actually a non-visible light ray. So that's going to be a little bit different than just like red light therapy that you may see or you may have read about, where red light therapy actually doesn't produce any heat. So you are still getting some benefits, but it's more surface level. Let's say like sunspots, scar tissue. Whereas that infrared heat, so that non-visible light ray, that's the deepest, most therapeutic wavelength. So that's a non-visible light ray. That's what's getting about 1.5 inches in that soft tissue muscle. And so we have carbon heaters wrapping around your body, producing that far infrared, and that's at the most effective wavelength at about a 95 to 99% emissive rate. So what that means is the effectiveness of those heaters. So the heaters are tuned to the proper wavelength that your body can maximize the absorption of the infrared, compared to a lot of those lower quality units where it may be more sitting in front of a space heater. You're not getting a ton of those infrared benefits because it's not tuned to get down to that cellular level. And so that's really the big benefit with a full spectrum infrared sauna. And so you do have then the chromotherapy lighting. And so chromotherapy lighting, there are benefits to that too. And so when your eyes perceive the certain colored lights, different benefits happen. So red, the yellow, the green, a lot more serotonin, a lot of dopamine. That's going to make you feel a little more alert, more awake, more energized. Whereas like a blue, a violet, or like the turquoise or teal, a little bit more neuroepinephrine. So that's going to make it feel like more of a calming sensation. Similar premise to if you've ever been like on a plane at night. It's always got like blue lighting running. Whereas if it had red lighting, everyone would be freaking out. So the real workhorse of the infrared is coming from these carbon heaters. That's producing that non-visible light ray. Then the hybrid series has these ceramic alloy heaters, and those heaters are getting a little bit hotter, and those are what allow it to get up to those higher temperatures. So that's why it's going to be a lot different than a lot of those lower quality units where it may only use a one-tier heating system. This has the two-tier heating system, ability to get up to those higher temperatures, and then 360-degree heat, so there's no cold spots. Then you do get the chromotherapy lighting as well, so that's going to be providing that near infrared as well. Now you don't want to necessarily put like a red light panel inside a sauna, because what happens is that red light, to produce medical grade red light, it has to get and be powerful enough inside a hot environment. That's going to overheat. And so also you'll see here as I get this sweat going, that red light is really going to reflect off a lot of that moisture. So it should be done in a dry environment. Hence why there's no heat produced. You're not going to sweat under red light therapy. And so with the infrared heat, you get a lot more of those benefits than just the sunspots, the scar tissue. You still get those, but the cardiovascular, the cellular repair, the circulatory, all of those benefits and a lot more with the full spectrum infrared sauna. So I hope that answered your question. I know that was a lot, but I hope that did answer your question, because you have the best infrared sauna on the market. If you have one of those hybrid series, and our signature series is still as good, if not better than anything else out there, but that hybrid series is really head and shoulders above the rest. Nothing really competes with just the heater configuration, heater design. And so I hope that did answer your question, Kathy. That was a very good question though, so thank you for that. We are getting up into the 145s, guys. It's been about 30 minutes. Heart rate is in the 114s. Oh, it was. Of course, it always drops when I take it off. But heart rate is up there. We are getting that deep sweat, as you guys can see, really starting to get that profuse sweat. So I didn't use a sauna as much as I should have over the weekend. So I'm also moving that towel just to cover a little bit more of that floor space. So kind of as always I mentioned, putting the towels down, make your life a lot easier as far as the maintenance aspect and just the longevity of the unit. Ben says, what's up, Nick? What's up, Ben? We are 40 minutes into a sauna session, sweating buckets, so living the dream. But those were all some great questions. I would encourage you, Kathy, to reach out to Lori, or you can always schedule a consultation with me down below. If anyone watching schedules a consultation with me, scan the QR code and we have a chance to connect, I will send you a notorious, infamous Good Health Saunas, a Walla water bottle. So that's about a $50 value, guys, just from scanning the QR link down below. And if we connect, I'll send it out to you for free. So more than happy to walk through all of our options, figure out which one's going to work best, and obviously do something live here on our link or on our channel or on our page, or connect virtually. Also, if you're in the Wisconsin area, we have our main office here in Minnesota. Obviously been at the Mall of America, and they rock up there as well. So reach out to them if you have any questions up in the Twin City area or anywhere in between. Appleton as well. Phenomenal location up at Appleton with all of our saunas, and same thing down here in Waukesha, and then obviously up at the Mall of America. So swing by any of those if you're in the area. Right now is a pretty neat time. Like I said, being a spring, summertime, or yeah, kind of spring, summertime here. The 2 heaters in the front, I believe, Kathy says the 2 heaters in the front, I believe, are near infrared. Do I need to be close to those for them to be effective? Do I need my knees close to front heaters to help with knee pain? Thanks for answering all of my questions, Kathy. We are more than happy to answer all your questions. And so those 2 front heaters, if you have a rectangular kind of hybrid series, the nice part about all of our saunas is you'll see how I'm sitting directly in the L here. I'm technically right in the doorway. So those heaters actually have a 180-degree reflector plate behind them. So that's going to evenly distribute the heat no matter where I'm sitting in the unit. And so now if you wanted to necessarily kind of isolate an affected area, you could kind of shift over to one side of the unit, kind of just make sure your knees directly lined up to that side. And then if you wanted to, you could shift to the other way. And so you could also, if you have that rectangle unit, that hybrid 3-person, you could still put your knee up here. You're getting infrared no matter where you're sitting. That's kind of the point being. So if I'm sitting here, I'm sitting here. If I'm sitting up this way, no matter what sauna you have, especially all the Good Health saunas, have 360-degree heat. And just the size of the heaters, the actual effectiveness of the heaters. One of my coworkers just at a biohacking event, and with both the saunas set up there, obviously when you compare one and you get to compare the other side by side, it can be a much nicer comparison than just looking at 2 pictures on the screen, and especially when you're trying to go back and forth. And so something that we really like to give you guys the opportunity to is just take a look at all the options out there. If you have any questions, like I said, we've been doing it for 20 plus years. I and all of my coworkers are hands-on with these units every single day. So compared to having to cram 3 months worth of research into a weekend, we have years and years of experience to help you guys along the way. And so that's something that we really pride ourselves on. Kathy's had some great questions as far as kind of the full spectrum, and she has one. She loves it, but she kind of wished she had the chance to ask those questions. And so that's why still we are here. We know you guys are going to have questions throughout the journey, before, during, and after the fact. And Kathy still loves her sauna. I'm sure she uses it consistently. She just got it in April, so I know she's going to love it in these cold winter months coming up. But having the ability, like I said, use it in those summer months, if she has a pretty active lifestyle, the ability to get back out there and enjoy those nice summer days, especially if she's up here in Michigan, or up there in Michigan like we are in Wisconsin, sometimes you get a few limited ones in the summer. So depends where you're at in your health and wellness journey, but using one consistently all year round is going to be super, super beneficial. So that's kind of the moral of the story today, and we hope you guys can hop in a sauna in the summer and think about all the benefits you're getting compared to just wait until those cold winter months, guys, because that's something that we really can't preach enough of. Like I said, we've been in for about 38 minutes and the heart rate is up in the 120s. You're not going to get that with a lot of those lower quality units. It may take an hour just to heat it up to get to the point where you can actually get a good sweat. And I'm at a point where I'm now profusely sweating. It's dripping off my entire body. Obviously getting that elevated heart rate, the passive cardiovascular workout like we talked about before, something where it's like I would do a 45-minute workout on the treadmill or on the stair step or elliptical, but now I'm not going to be as sore. I'm not going to be as stiff tomorrow. I'm going to be able to go hit some golf balls. I'm going to be able to go hang out and do whatever I may like to do. And like I said, those limited summer months, if you're in a cold climate, or even if you're in a warm climate, we have a ton of people in like Arizona, Arizona, California, Nevada, where there is tons of benefits to just using it for, like I said, that cellular repair. Even in those cold winter months, I had a customer who, she's down in Arizona, and she used one on Saturday. she absolutely fell in love with how it made her feel, even though she's in the middle of summer in Arizona, just because that hot air temperature and that hot UV sun isn't the same as that infrared heat. Now, it's going to give you a lot of the same benefits, but it's not going to wear and tear on your body like that sun does. That's going to be the big difference. And so that's why we like to just, like I said, show you guys what a full session can look like. We've been in for about 40 minutes, so that's, like I said, normally when I would be more than sufficient. I've been dripping sweat for quite a while now, and the chat that we were, and the analytics we got after the sessions and the live sessions were that after about 40 minutes I got a little quiet and the audio stopped, so it was telling me to wrap it up at 40 minutes. But I like showing you guys what kind of a longer session can look like, and obviously talking the whole time makes it a little more enjoyable and adds a little bit more of a twist and a fun variable to it. But that's something that we like to do, and just show you guys that it can be fun using the sauna. People are always curious if their spouse may not necessarily want one, or they may not like one. Having just the ability to show them it doesn't have to be that old school style hot steam abrasive air temperature. It can be a fun, enjoyable experience. You can have music going with the Bluetooth speakers in here. You could always just have podcasts, audiobooks, or just some time to relax and unplug, connect, where in today's day and age that's super hard. So having, like I said, just a tool in the tool belt that you know you're getting benefits, it's an addicting feeling in a good way, is something where once people get it, like all of our other customers, they say it's the smartest investments they made. They wish they did it a lot sooner. And so if you have any questions, we've been giving away in a Walla water bottle, a $50 value. If you just scan the link down below, connect with me, and we'll go through all of our options and figure out which one's going to work, and we will send you the infamous Good Health Saunas $50 a Walla water bottle for free. If you have any questions and you're curious about an infrared sauna, just a great opportunity to talk and chat with someone who's been with these units every single day, hands-on, for all the years in the industry. And so Christine, thanks for joining. Ooh. Welcome. If you guys are just joining, we are getting on what we like to call the infamous struggle bus, but that is one of the best parts of, like I said, the session. Having the ability to get up to those higher temperatures is really a night and day difference, and having just something that gets to that soft tissue muscle and that deep tissue, where I don't know if you guys just heard that, but I just cracked my back and my neck and it felt phenomenal, and I really cannot do that outside of the sauna. I don't know what it is. I think it's just, like I said, getting all that oxygenated blood flow really just allows your muscles to become a lot more relaxed. I never feel as loose as I do than when I'm in the sauna. And so having, just like I said, if you're sore, if you're stiff, something in your own home where you can go in, get a ton of those benefits. It doesn't have to be this suffocating abrasive type heat. It's a real night and day difference. So like I said, guys, if you have the chance to use one, if you've been curious about them, if you're thinking if it's something you would even use or enjoy, we're more than happy to meet you wherever you're at in the journey. We've been there. I've been there 5 years ago when I hadn't even heard of infrared saunas. So if it's something where you just saw online, it's really good for you, it's beneficial, but you don't know how, or you want to get explained as why it could be, that's where we want to step in and kind of show you guys what's really all out there in the industry, all 7 different options as far as the sizes, shapes, heater configurations. So we are always more than happy to be there, and with kind of our spring sale we have going on, it's a great opportunity too. So JC, welcome. If you're just joining, we are deep on the struggle bus, about 45 minutes in. Heart rate's, guys, getting up into the 130s. You can see that, the 128s there, about 45 minutes in. And thank you guys for tuning in so far. If you've been along for the whole ride, we got in 45 minutes ago at about 100, 110 degrees. It was probably a little higher than that, but that was close to my core body temp. And so within about 15 minutes, I was absolutely starting to drip sweat. 20-25 minutes profusely sweating, and now about 45 minutes in, absolutely drenched these towels. And so that's what you're looking for in a high quality infrared sauna. There's no venting, there's no plumbing, solid lumber construction. Don't get something that you're going to regret later on. When you're really looking to invest in your health, guys, we know it is something that you want to take serious, and that's something that we deal with every day. So a lot of people don't even know, but we've been doing it for 20 plus years, 3 brick and mortar locations, nationwide shows as far as state fairs, home events, home and garden, trade shows, and have kind of seen it all as far as just the online marketing and crazy landscape we live in. And if you guys have any questions, Mr. K Coop, thanks for joining. I know he has our sauna and he loves his, but JC, best investment, and JC also has our sauna too. I think, yep, there we go. They love their saunas. I think they got theirs about a year or so ago. I think working with Eric, and they absolutely love theirs, guys. So that's something we hear. Bought ours in October. So yeah, coming up on about a year shortly here. So a handful of months, and they absolutely love theirs. Using it in those summer months, I'm sure they still get a ton of those benefits. Kind of the moral of the story today was year-round sessions, and sweating has benefits no matter which way you cut it, but using it consistently, especially in those summer months, really makes it a lot easier to stay healthy for the long run, guys. And so that's something that we like to preach. I like to show you guys firsthand what it can look like and just how easy it can be to put one in your own home. But we're 46 minutes in. We've been on the struggle bus. Heart rate's in the 130s now. And it's not that suffocating type feeling. That's kind of why I like staying in here longer, because I can actually take a deep breath. So if I was in a traditional sauna right now, my hair would feel like it's going to fall out. I couldn't take a breath longer than, because that air temperature is so hot, my nose would feel like it's on fire. I've been in here for about 47 minutes. Heart rate is still up in the 130s. And my muscles, like I said, have never felt more relaxed. I know I'm going to sleep a lot better tonight. And compared to feeling exhausted and wiped out from just sweating out water, it's been much more of an internal fever-like response. So your natural recovery mode compared to just that high abrasive, cool my body off, instant rapid response from like a traditional sauna. And so JC, we use ours 3 to 4 times a week. That is awesome. Love to hear that. JC knows all the benefits and loves their Good Health saunas. I think they have a hybrid series as well. All right, so we're trying to wrap it up for you guys. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We do this every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, a 1-hour live session, a Q&A, where we've already sweated the details and we're showing you what a true infrared sauna session can look like. If you want to DM us, private message us on all the major platforms. We're more than happy to answer any questions. If you have any comments, if you have any ideas you want us to try out, or questions you want us to answer, private message us or send us a message. And that'll wrap it up for this week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's been an absolute blast. And until next week, keep sweating. Peace.